Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are here to talk about a brand that we have not discussed on this channel yet, and the name of the brand is called IL MAKIAGE. So if that's something you're interested in watching, then you're in the right place. We're about to get into it.
I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf.
Alright guys, so IL MAKIAGE. Now this is a brand that has a boutique in New York, and the boutique itself has only been open since, I want to say, 2017, and then I think 2018, this year, they actually created an online presence where you could actually shop the boutique online. Now, the boutique itself has more products than are available online. For the majority, I think the brand has just about all of the products represented online, with the exception of some powders and some bronzers and some highlighters. I think it's mostly face products, but for the most part, the rest of the brand is available online at ilmakiage.com. Now, there's been some rumblings in the community about this particular brand, and some people I have found either absolutely love it or they absolutely hate it. So I was very curious, so I decided to go ahead and get a couple of products from the brand just to sample a few things here and there. I tried to get a little bit from every corner of the brand just to get a good overview and see what we think about it. So let's start with their foundation. Now, the foundation is called Woke Up Like This. It comes in 1 fluid ounce and it retails for $41. Now, this sucker comes in 50 shades with just about every undertone that you can think of, from yellow to pink to neutral, even olive undertones within the 50 shade lineup with this particular foundation. This claims to be a natural matte foundation, and for the most part, the packaging itself doesn't look too bad. I'll give you guys a close-up of the bottle here. It is a nice frosted glass. It does have a pump, and other than that, I mean, it's pretty basic. Like I said, it's got a full fluid ounce, but I mean, it is very sleek as far as the aesthetic is concerned. It does look really kind of classy and very chic, very minimalistic, but it is, again, a natural matte finish, so it's not supposed to be overly drying. It's supposed to be kind of a natural matte, more like the popular type of foundations out there nowadays. So let's get into application here so you guys can see what this actually looks like on the skin. Now, they do have a shade finder online, and I did find that using the shade finder actually helped a little bit. It actually matched me with this particular foundation, which I think is just a little bit on the lighter side, but when it dries down, it definitely dries down a little darker, so I would go maybe a shade lighter than what you're actually recommended through your shade finder. At least that's what I found worked for me. Now, I did find that the application process actually worked quite well for me. It applied very nicely. It applied very smoothly on the skin. It did even out my skin tone. This is where I find that me and this foundation kind of part ways a little bit, and that is as it wears throughout the day. As it wears throughout the day, I do see creasing in my marionettes, I see creasing in my 11s, and overall, it's just not my favorite performing foundation. Now, for the first 2 hours after application, and actually after first putting it on my face, it actually looks quite stunning, and the finish is beautiful, and I was really, really happy with it, and I got excited because I thought this might be one of my new favorites. But very quickly, as the day rolled on, it did start that kind of breaking up and looking a little cakey around the nose, and then my smile line started coming through, and that was alone on its own. We did try it with a primer the following day. I've played with this with face oil, no primer, moisturizer, no primer, primer, no moisturizer, and fresh faced. Unfortunately, it doesn't really matter what I'm priming with this particular foundation. It still likes to sink into my lines. For me, this formula is just a bit heavy. I find that heavier formulations that are similar to this tend to break down like that. I think if somehow they got into this formulation and maybe updated it a little bit, because there is a lot of technology out there now that allows you to use ingredients that aren't as heavy, they aren't as thick, and it does allow the formula to get a little lighter but not sacrifice any pigment or coverage as a result of that. So I think that the formula itself just needs to be a little updated, but for $41, unfortunately, the foundation is going to be a pass for me. So that was a disappointment. I was not a fan of the IL Makiage Woke Up Like This foundation. Next, let's talk about the concealer. Now, when it comes to the concealer, they have two different options. They have one option that is similar to like a cream concealer like this. This is a Bare Minerals cream concealer. They have one that's similar to this that comes in a compact, and it's a really thick kind of cream concealer. These are not my favorite types of concealers, so I didn't opt to choose that concealer. I chose to go with their liquid concealer, and this is called their Bff Liquid Concealer, and it comes in a little bottle like this. And this is actually quite unique. When I first got this package, I thought we were going to twist the top off and pull out a doe foot applicator like most concealers out there. However, this one is a little different. I'll give you a close-up of the packaging here. So as you can see, even though this isn't like a frosted glass, it's more like a plastic, but it still has that kind of frosted look to it. However, it does have a very unique top. So when you twist the top, a pump actually appears at the top, and it's pumped out like a foundation. However, it does disperse a minimal amount of product. So for each pump, you get a very small amount of product, which is appropriate amount for under the eye. So you don't really need to be able to pump out a significant amount of product when you're working with a concealer that you put underneath the eye. So it actually pumps out like the perfect amount. But I think this top is so unique. I love this component. I love how you just twist it up and there's your little pump, and you just squirt out a pump and apply it. Now, the one thing that I like about this concealer is that this concealer comes in 22 shades. So you have the light range, and in the light range you can pick whatever undertone you have. So you can do light yellow, light pink, light orange, light peach, light neutral, and then it's the same thing in the medium range. You have medium pink, medium yellow. So it's like very simple to figure out. You have your light, your medium, your dark, and then you have all your appropriate undertones laid out in there. And then you even have halves. So you have 2, and then you have 2.5, and then you have 3, and you have 3.5. So you can even see if maybe I need to go up a half a shade or down a half a shade. There's not such a big step in between a certain shade and another shade. You can go down by just like a half a shade, which I really like, especially when it comes to a concealer. Now, I actually got in number 4. This is actually light with a peach undertone, and the reason I chose this is because I was hoping to get a product that would conceal and correct all in one. Now, what I found with this is that the undertone is fairly strong. So while I can use this to correct my dark circles, it doesn't really have that kind of concealer neutralness to it. It has a lot of the peach pulled to it, which is great when you're using it to correct dark circles. But then what that makes me want to do is to put foundation up over top of it, or a actual skin tone concealer over top of it just to get rid of like the actual peach tone, you know what I'm saying? So for that reason, I'm kind of iffy about it, but I will say this. It is amazing at correcting dark circles. I'll show you the application itself here. So it has these brightening components to it. So not only is it really, really good at getting rid of dark circles and kind of counteracting dark circles, especially this peach tone, but it goes a long way to brighten underneath the eye as well. Another thing that I really like about this is that, again, this is a more of a natural matte finish, so it's not radiant by any means, so you're not going to have shiny underneath your eyes, but it's not so matte that it's overly drying underneath the eyes. Like, for me, I feel like Tarte Shape Tape is like that. This is not that. It gives you much more of a natural matte finish underneath the eye. What I also like about this formula is that it's buildable, so you can go under here with just one thin layer and get nice coverage. But if you really need to conceal some dark circles, say that you didn't get a lot of sleep yesterday and your dark circles are a little more pronounced today than they were yesterday, this is actually buildable, so you can customize your coverage by patting just a little bit more underneath the eye, and it works beautifully. It doesn't crease, unlike the foundation. This is a crease-free formula, and it's actually very long wearing. I like this. I find myself using this in a very light layer to color correct and then going over it with a concealer, and it gives me just a beautiful look. I could get away with just wearing this on its own as a concealer and then just bringing my foundation up over it to kind of get rid of a little bit of that peach tone. It looks beautiful that way as well. I'm just not a big fan of pulling foundation all the way up to underneath my eyes. I like working with concealer. So for me, maybe not on its own, but a beautiful, beautiful color corrector. As far as value is concerned, you actually get 0.25 fluid ounces out of this, and in the NARS Creamy Radiant Concealer, this is only 0.22 fluid ounces in like a standard concealer. So you actually get more product in here, and it's only $26. So the BFF Long Wear Perfecting Concealer is Erica approved. I actually really like this formula. Next, we're going to talk about eyeshadow. Now, this is where I feel like Il Makiage kind of, their price point goes a little bananas. So they have like a little 12-pan palette that retails for $90. And that's crazy. It actually retails for $89 even, but at $89, that's $90. When you pay tax and shipping, it's going to be over $90 for a 12-pan palette. I'll put a picture up of it here. It's kind of crazy. Now, you can get this particular palette in 3 different colorways. So, in other words, you can get it with like a berry theme, kind of a green theme. There's just different themes that you can pick out with this $90 palette. I'm not going to pay $90 to try out their eyeshadows. However, I did hear that their eyeshadows were quite amazing. So I looked at their quads. Now, even their quads, which is just the little 4-pack, those are priced at like $36. Still not interested. So I actually went all the way down to getting a couple of their single shadows. And even their single shadows are $24 for one single shadow. Crazy. But I got 2 just so that we could try them out and see what they were like. Now, granted, these are 2.5 grams a piece, which if you're thinking about like eyeshadow pan size, you're talking about pans that are about this big, which are pretty huge. This is the Jeffree Star Androgyny palette, and it's kind of known for these giant square pans, but this is a 2.5 gram pan. So these are actually quite big. You're actually getting a significant amount of product in these as compared to like a typical like 1 gram circle pan. So there's that. But I got two. One thing is really cool about the unit carton for these is you would think that you just open the box and you know, slide it out, but these actually open this way, which I think is super neat, and then you pull it out like this. This packaging is ridiculous. It's over the top. It's very, very heavy. It's incredibly gorgeous. It has this beautiful kind of silver polish to it. It's very heavy. It feels like a solid steel piece of a component here, and then of course the shade is here on the inside. Now I got two matte colors because that's me, and that's the kind of colors that I like, and I definitely, if I'm going to spend $48 on two eyeshadows, then I definitely wanted to get two that I thought I was going to use. So these are the two that I got. One is a lighter shade, and then I have one that is a little bit deeper. They're both neutrals, and they are both mattes. I will show you guys application of these two colors here. Now, I will say this. These are actually called the Color Boss eyeshadows, and they claim that these are multi-dimensional eye colors. Now, I got the mattes, and I will say that these are like a hybrid eyeshadow. They tend to glide on like a cream, but blend more like a liquid, and then it has this finish that's like a powder. So it is very much like a cream to powder type of finish, and it is a very long wearing eyeshadow. So I can say that the eyeshadow formula itself is incredibly unique. It is like that cream to powder type formula, and it is incredibly long lasting. They're very, very soft. They feel like velvet when you touch them. They feel very wet when you touch them. It's almost like you're dipping your finger into a cream, but then when you like feel it between your fingers and when you put it on the eye and you start to blend it, if it kind of turns into a very soft powder. There is zero to no fallout or any kick up anywhere in the pans, and I think it is because it's very creamy in the pot itself. And usually formulas like this that are a little heavier in the pan and a little creamier and velvetier tend to require a little more elbow grease when it comes to blending out on the eye, but for some reason these do not. So I'm actually show you these two swatched so you can actually kind of get a feel for how creamy the actual application is and the way they feel in the pans as well. Now they have a ton of different colors, and they have matte finishes, satin finishes, metallics, or shimmers. These are 100% cruelty free, and they do say that if you want a more intense payoff with these, that you can use them wet as well. Now they recommend that you do that obviously with like the shimmer shades and the metallic shades, like, you know, we always do. You just take a brush and put some product on there and spritz it down with, you know, some fixing spray and then put it on the eye. It's going to be really, really impactful, and they say that you can do that with the metallics and the shimmers that they offer in this eyeshadow formula. I will say that this eyeshadow formula is incredibly unique. It has a very unique texture. It does look really, really pretty on the eye. I think it's a beautiful formula. I don't think it's worth $24 for a single pan. I don't think that the eyeshadow palette at $90 is going to be worth it either. I think that is just too much for 12 little pans of eyeshadow. Now, if you are interested in trying this eyeshadow out, and it is an absolutely gorgeous formula, my recommendation would be to do the quad. The quads are $36. I think that's where you're going to get the best bang for your buck. So if you're interested in trying out these eyeshadow formulas, they're absolutely Erica approved. I just wouldn't get the single for $26, and I definitely wouldn't spend $90 on that large palette unless you get a quad and you just absolutely fall in love with the formula. It's very unique, so there's a good possibility that you might, but I would definitely say start out with a quad. They have I want to say it's 6. Is it 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. They have 7 different colorways that you can go with the quads. So they have a lot to choose from when it comes to their quads. So maybe check out the quads and see if that's something that you would like. But overall, the formula is absolutely stunning. It is a beautiful eyeshadow formula. They really have something very special when it comes to their eyeshadow formula. Just not $90 for 12 pans special. I can't get over that price point. It's crazy. All right, and last but not least, we are going to talk about the IL MAKIAGE Matte Liquid Lipstick. Now, let me give you guys a close-up of the component here. Now, this is a very different component. It's very, very heavy. It almost feels like you have a glass crystal in your hand because this is a glass bottle. It's frosted glass that ombres from black to clear, and in the clear base you can see through to the color of the actual matte liquid lipstick, and then it just has a doe foot applicator. Now, I will say one thing that I did notice about the doe foot applicator is that the applicator itself to me feels very, very cheap, and I'm not sure why, and I think it might be because this bottle is so heavy. When you take this out, they didn't weight the cap at all, so there's no weight to it. It feels very light and plasticky, but even when you look at the doe foot that is in here, it's the stick part here is very it's just not secure in there very well, and even the fabric part of the doe foot applicator here, the paddle part, seems very cheap to me. It doesn't, there's a lot of bend in it, which is good for a lipstick, but there should be just a little bit of firmness in there as well, and there's just not. So I wasn't impressed with the actual applicator out of this component. While I like the glass part of it, I don't like the applicator. I think the applicator cheapens the presentation of this overall component. Now, I mean, I can put on a matte liquid lipstick with a brush. I don't even need to use the applicator that's in here, but if you're gonna go the distance of making like a thick, heavy kind of crystal component like this, then I think you should at least step up your game and put a decent quality doe foot applicator in the lid for us. The actual color that I got is called Matte Karma, and it is a beautiful shade. Now, they do have like 26 shades of their Longwear matte liquid lip formula, so there is quite a wide variety of the liquid lips to choose from. I am going to show you application of the product here just so that you can see what it looks like when you're actually applying it to the lips. Now, they say that this is obviously a bold matte finish. They say it's extremely long-lasting, non-drying, not sticky, that it's a comfortable formula, that it's full coverage, transfer-proof. It is enriched with vitamin E, which most liquid lipsticks are. It is 100% cruelty-free as well, and you get 0.18 fluid ounces, which is pretty standard for a liquid lip, and this is $22, which isn't that bad for a liquid lipstick, especially at the range that these guys are shooting for with their products. They're shooting for, you know, kind of just below luxury in that kind of middle end brand type of space. So that falls in line with the pricing of the rest of their products, except for the $90 eyeshadow palette that I still cannot move past. But other than that, it's very reasonably priced considering the amount that you get in here. Now, it is a beautiful color, and it does give you good pigment. It is very comfortable. It is not overly drying, but there was an issue with this that makes me not like this particular formula, and I'll tell you what it is. And it's not that it's overly drying, but it does dry down to a nice matte finish. However, for me, when it dries down, it gets tight on the lips. And I have a feeling, I probably know why, and it has to do with their ingredients list, but when you have a matte lipstick that tightens a little bit when it dries down, what happens is that us ladies that don't have nice smooth lips, that tightening ends up accentuating all of the fine lines and wrinkles that we actually have in our lips, and it makes our lips look even more wrinkly. You know what I'm saying? And it makes you look in the mirror and then go, oh my god, I need a lip balm or a lip gloss, because you want to get rid of that kind of sucked up wrinkly look. And there are a couple of formulas out there that will accentuate any texture that you have on your lips if it's a matte liquid lipstick, because when it dries down it tightens just a little bit. There are a lot of liquid lipsticks out there that have perfected their formulas, and when it dries down it's just a beautiful, comfortable formula and there is no tightening, so you actually get the illusion of filled in lips and it smooths out any texture that you have on the lips. But when you have a matte liquid lipstick that tightens, it actually accentuates your texture, and that is what this particular product did for me. So it made my lips look all kind of shriveled up, and you could see all of my fine lines and wrinkles. So for me, that's just a sign right off the bat that I'm not gonna like this. Now, having said that, it's very long wearing. Outside of that, it's very comfortable. The shade range is beautiful. It is very pigmented. It's kind of that one swipe color, and you get a beautiful color payoff, with the exception of the crappy applicator. Do I think that somebody that doesn't have a lot of texture on their lips could enjoy this product? Absolutely. But if you have a little bit of texture on your lips, you're probably going to want to avoid this one. It's just a little too tightening for me, and I have a feeling, because they really do in the PR, they really push the whole infinity long wear, and there are certain products that you can put into a matte liquid lipstick that makes them incredibly long wearing, but unfortunately it causes the pigment to really adhere and like grip to the lip, and that tightening effect, while it does a great job making this transfer proof, smudge proof, budge proof, and not go anywhere, it also tightens the lip up and it shows texture. So that is the price you pay for that. So unfortunately, this one's going to be a pass for me, guys. But again, this is the IL MAKIAGE Infinity Longwear Matte Lip Cream. Alright guys, so that is it. We talked about the foundation, the concealer, we talked about the eyeshadow, and some liquid lipstick from this brand. Overall, there were some hits and some misses in there for me. This was a big disappointment for me. I was really hoping that this foundation would be something that was just going to blow me away. I do really, really like this concealer. I like using this more of as a corrector, but I really like the formula. The eyeshadow formula is actually quite beautiful. I think this is a very unique and different formula, and the liquid lipstick, this is just a pass for me. So 2 out of 4 is not that bad. We're half and half, I guess. So yeah, I guess the brand is definitely worth exploring. I think it's also quite obvious that they're very young as well, and that they haven't been out on the market maybe quite as long as their competitors, and I think that's obvious in some of their formulations that just haven't kept up with a lot of the technology that's out there, in particular their foundation. Nowadays we can get really, really lightweight foundations that don't crease on the skin and still give us a great pigment payoff, because, you know, the technology has just developed fantastically in the last couple of years when it comes to foundation. So I definitely think they need to step up the game there. I think they need to work on some component stuff. I think their price point for these single eyeshadows is astronomical, and all of those are very simple things that they can adjust as the market tells them what to adjust. So as consumers buy things, they don't buy certain things, they'll tweak their brand as the years go by. It's kind of, you know, the price you pay for a very young brand is that you will find that the overall brand is probably going to be inconsistent because they haven't had the chance to really kind of fine-tune everything as they start getting feedback in. So this is the one thing I can say is probably going to be the best out of all of it. This is a stunning eyeshadow formula. It is quite beautiful. Alright guys, so let me know what you guys think about Il Makiage down in the comments section below. Let me know if you guys have ever tried any products from this particular brand, or if you intend on picking any up from this particular brand. I would be very curious to hear your thoughts on that. If you are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. And as always, I hope everybody is very happy and very healthy. And I will see you guys in the next video. Mwah.